Happy Thursday. Thank you all so much for tuning in to the PHNX Coyotes Podcast. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Leave us a 5-star review. I'm Leah, here with Petey and Sean. Petey, I feel like you need a clearing.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. Like some days you just wake up, and I know this used to be my past life, and I was Grumpy Steve. I know for the most part I'm pretty positive and happy. There's something about today. I don't know what it is. I'm fired up. I'm fired up today. Sorry. So if I go off on some rants today,
there's some rants in the bank.
And I think part of it is on my way here, I drove by the Tempe Town Lake. And I don't know if people listening, I don't know if you're surprised by this news. The dump is still a dump. It has not turned into a park or low-income housing. It is still a dump.
Yeah, still a dump. I feel like the roles have really, like, Craig left. Day one, you're in a press box wearing a button down.
Yeah.
Craig is still gone. You're ready for some rants. And usually Craig's one going ranting on rants. So, Should be interesting. But speaking of Craig, we actually did get an update from him. I
don't even want to see it. I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah. So Craig sent me this morning to say hello to everybody. So
I don't know if I can take it today.
Here's Craig from Paris.
Hello, PHNX Coyotes. Day 3 here in Paris. Deepest apologies for not contacting you sooner, but I'm having such a divine time. Leah, darling, as a fellow connoisseur de couture, sorry you're not here. Petey and Sean, old chaps, thanks for holding down the fort while I'm away. Until next time.
See, I don't need to see that. Like, literally, don't need to see it. Like, having the time of his life. It looks like a movie.
Just reminded me how poor I was, if anything.
Yeah.
Like, I couldn't afford the glass he was drinking the drink out of, let alone being in the streets of
He's like on the
Paris.
set of Mission Impossible 6 right now. I'm just waiting for Tom Cruise to cruise by on a motorcycle. Like, what the hell? Who lives the life that Craig Morgan lives? That's unbelievable.
But listen, he deserves the break. He really does. Craig works so hard. He does not take days off. So
we love you, Craig.
Yes, we love you, miss you. Hope you're having a good time, which it seems like he is based on that video.
Yeah, it looks like he's having a good time relaxing. And I think that's probably... I don't relax very well.
What?
Yeah, I know. I don't relax. But what did we figure vacation was 2014? That's almost a decade ago since I took a vacation, and even then I didn't relax. It's what's the dinner reservation? Where are we going?
Petey, can I just take you to a baseball game or something?
Buddy,
sometime?
that's what I need. That is exactly what I need. But here's my problem. I don't want to go to Chase Field. I want to go outside and I want to see the sun.
I will drive. I will drive to
ball.
San Diego. Oh, AAA ball too, but San Diego.
AAA in Tucson?
No, there's not. I don't think AAA. But I mean, they have games. And
how about ASU baseball?
It's over.
Oh.
It's over for the year.
Scratch that. I want to go outside, have a beer, and watch baseball. That's exactly what I need.
Petey, I'm not even joking. I would happily
Let's
drive
do it.
the 5 hours a weekend game.
We know people that do that. The Diamondbacks thing, we could probably get a hookup at the.
Well, next time they do takeovers.
The takeovers. Let's go.
Yeah, we should go to the.
I'll go.
There's one Saturday, but it's sold out. But we should go to the next one.
I will go.
100%.
That's what
But
I need.
also, if you want to get in the sun, I'm down to drive to San Diego, Petey.
Cheers.
All right. Well, love that. Now that we are all in a happier mood.
Yes.
Let's talk about some big things going on around the NHL.
Okay.
It feels like we haven't gone around the NHL in a while. Lots of big news. Coyotes ties, obviously, with Brad Treliving, former Coyotes assistant GM, then went on to the Calgary Flames, now is the GM of the Toronto Maple Leafs. We got news about Kyle Dubas landing in Pittsburgh this morning. There's still a couple of coaching vacancies. We got an apology from Bruc Cassidy. So lots to get into today, Petey. But let's start with Brad Treliving because you actually know him. He spent a lot of time here.
He was my boss. Yeah.
And you and Craig have actually stayed in contact with him over the years. He's actually been a guest on this show, believe it or not. And now he is the general manager of the Toronto Maple Leafs. Not a quiet gig by any means. What are your thoughts on this hire for Toronto?
First of all, I've always said this about people that work in hockey. I think the most important thing for people to be successful is to be a good person. I've always wanted to work in organizations or work for people that are good people first. And Brad is exactly that. I tell you what, he was a guy whose door was always open. I learned a lot from Brad. I felt that he also listened and respected what I did for a living. And when he went to Calgary, he was a guy, like I said, I kept in touch with, and I still felt like I could ask questions and be involved with, because what a wonderful person he is. I think this is a great hire for Toronto. I think he does an exceptional job of as the general manager position. I think he recognizes people. He gets people to perform underneath him. I think he understands talent. He always was kind of against it in Calgary. One, there is a different ownership group there in Calgary than he's going to experience in Toronto. They're going to have different financial constraints from one to the other. There are no financial constraints in Toronto. So that was always a problem. Plus, in Calgary, it was difficult to get free agents. It wasn't one of the top 5 cities. It wasn't New York City. It wasn't Toronto. In Toronto, people want to go play in Toronto. So I think he's got so many things in his favor for this job that I think he'll help. Concern. What the hell is Brendan Shanahan going to do? And there's my concern. Brendan Shanahan is the president of hockey operations, who Brad Treliving will report to. Brad Treliving has been a general manager in this league for nearly a decade on his own, who reported directly to the ownership group with nobody in between. I'm not quite sure what Brendan Shanahan's role is going to be in the Brad Treliving era in Toronto. I'm not sure the need or the necessity of a president of hockey operations. I understand it with Dubas. He's a first-time general manager. He's learning the ropes, and it's Toronto. I get it. I don't understand the role of president of hockey operations. And I can say that league-wide. I don't get it. Like, if I could go in today and you guys pay me more and make me president of PHNX Coyotes Podcast, and I'm the president, you pay me more than the guy underneath me, which would be you and Craig. Pay me more. And if anything goes wrong, it's your fault. Not my fault. I'm not the GM. You're the GM. It's your fault, not me. I'm the president. It's not my, so I have no responsibility. But when things go well, I'm the first guy at the microphone. I'm the first guy saying it's me. I don't understand the role. I don't get it. I look at, there's 10 of those jobs in the National Hockey League that get paid more. And they're mostly, except for 2, are former players that are sitting in that role as figureheads and advisors. Best job in hockey by far. I don't know what Brendan Shanahan does. That's Brad Treliving's role, and he should be able to report directly to the board.
So I don't want to skip quite ahead to
Sorry.
Dubas, but I just thought it was interesting that Kyle Dubas' title is president of hockey operations. And I watched part of the press conference this morning while I was getting ready to leave the house to come here. And it just felt like, why isn't he just the GM?
Right. Why isn't he? Why isn't he just the GM?
I don't understand.
So what's the
I
thing?
don't understand.
It's a bullshit title. So what's the thing? Are you the GM or not the GM? Are you the guy making the decisions or are you not making the decisions?
Why can't you be GM and president?
And there's at least one. Lou Lamoriello is that.
Mm-hmm.
David Poile was kind of that, but now it's Barry Trotz and David Poile. So David Poile, and I think David Poile is just phasing himself out. So I don't think he's
Barry Trotz has never been a GM, so it's,
right. So it's a little different, and I understand that. But there are so many. Joe Sakic's not the general manager of the Colorado Avalanche anymore. He is the president of hockey operations. Cam Neely, president of hockey operations for Boston. What the hell do they need him for? Either you're the general manager and you make the hockey decisions, or you're not the general manager making hockey decisions. And there are places, and Vegas is a great example. Vegas, George McPhee's the general manager at the time. He isn't now. He was the general manager, and Kelly McCrimmon was assistant general manager. And the thought was that Kelly McCrimmon is going to leave to become a general manager somewhere else, and we don't want him to leave. So I tell you what, we'll both do our same jobs. I'll be the GM, George McPhee, but I will now be president of hockey operations, and you, Kelly McCrimmon, will still do the same job functions you do now, but we'll just call you the general manager, but you still report to me. And now you don't have to leave. Huh? Like, I just don't get it. Wait, when are the owners going to go, wait a minute, I'm paying both of you to do one job? I don't know. Either you're an assistant GM and a GM, or I don't understand why you need the president. I don't get it.
Do you think
don't get it.
In a place like Pittsburgh, for example, where the ownership is Fenway Sports Group, so it's more of like that corporation thing rather than a single owner, like let's just say Alex Morello, who's a person who can have relationships, but Fenway Sports Group it's a group, it's more corporate hat. Do you think that maybe the reason to have a president of hockey operations there is to have that middle man and have the GM be able to focus more on the on ice, the hockey, and then the president is more the middleman between the owner and the hockey.
In reality,
like
that makes sense. In reality, that makes sense, but that's not how these hierarchies actually perform.
Yeah.
Because when you go to a person like Brendan Shanahan, he makes the final decision on hockey. And so then what is Brad Treliving's final decision on hockey? I don't understand. And that's going to be an interesting dynamic moving forward because Brad, for so long, has been the final decision maker. And you look at a team like the New York Rangers, and they have Chris Drury. They don't have a president of hockey operations that deals with the Dolan family and everything that goes on with the New York Rangers. And that's a humongous organization with all kinds of business tentacles there, but they only have a general manager. The Tampa Bay Lightning, who has won the Cup, they have a general manager. They don't have a president of hockey operations. It's an unusual job. And to me, it's you're an owner paying $3 to $5 million because, yes, that's what the president makes, $3 to $5 million a year to be an advisor. You're not doing the day-to-day, when is the bus, when is the plane. You're an advisor that they go, I don't know if I like that trade. I'll be golfing.
Do you think in the situations of specifically Boston and Colorado, because of the two you mentioned, like they're former players that are the presidents, do you think there's like outside of, because even if they are kind of like meaningless positions, like there's value in having those guys in the organization more as just being like, for sure, hey, we're still paying you and respecting you and keeping you a part of this organization.
100%.
But obviously that doesn't apply in
that's
the Pittsburgh
Cam Neely,
situation.
that's Joe Sakic. You look at Martin Brodeur, his executive
Dubas,
VP. Keith Jones. Keith Jones just gets hired as president of hockey operations in Philadelphia with how much management experience?
He's been on the TV for
He's been on TV. He sounds really good and you do a great interview, Keith. Why don't you run the organization? What the hell is that? If I'm Danny Briere, that's worked my way up to be an assistant GM in the minors, go to the general manager of your AHL club. You've moved your way up, and now you're the GM. But now you report to a guy that's been on TV. Keith Jones is a wonderful human being. He's a very, very nice man. I've heard nothing but great things about Keith Jones, but he's never done a job in management, and now he's in charge. Like this is my problem with that job, and I'm telling you what. There is not much distinction between the two jobs that can be handled by one. I don't care how big the organization is. It's just another layer. It's a way to lay blame and spread blame around. And I can tell you what, if things go bad in Toronto, you know Brendan Shanahan's not going to blame? Brendan Shanahan. Because you didn't hear Brendan Shanahan's name coming up right now.
Yeah.
You heard Kyle Dubas and Keefe. Mm-hmm. That's who you heard. So this is my long way around to go. Brad Treliving can be the general manager of the Toronto Maple Leafs, but he should be able to report to the board of Maple Leaf MLSE. Yeah. He should be able to report directly to the board because guess what? He's experienced enough, he's smart enough, he's good enough, he's talented enough to do this on his own. And I'm not sure why you pay $3 to $5 million for an advisor because he was a great player at one time. We'll see.
What is like the current structure of the Coyotes?
They have a general manager that reports to the owner.
Do they report? Do they? Is well, Javier?
Javier, but Javier doesn't make hockey decisions. Only in that. What do they cost? So it's an economic figure that he will get involved. He won't say, "Well, I don't like that trade because of this player. He doesn't forecheck hard enough." Javier doesn't.
Javier self-admittedly didn't know
100%. That's Bill.
So
buck stops with Bill when it comes to hockey.
The Bill decision to hire Bill? Is that the Morellos and
correct?
Javier?
That's Morello. That was the interview process with the general manager. Goes through the ownership group. They interview the general manager, and that's why I wonder when you go to a structure like that in Toronto or Colorado with Joe Sakic, who's the final say? Like George McPhee with Kelly McCrimmon. Who's the final? We're going to make this trade for Jack Eichel. You don't think that's a George McPhee decision? Like, I mean, Kelly might do all the legwork and make all the calls to the GMs, but ultimately it's the president. So I just don't understand the structure, and I don't understand if it's a blame game or it's a liability spreading it around, or an owner just says, "Here's an extra $3 to $5 million." And here's the last thing I'll say on this one, because you're paying a president $3 to $5 million to be an advisor to a guy that you're paying $1 to $3 million for to make those decisions. Fair? Mm-hmm. The general manager $1 to $3, in some cases more million. You're paying a president $3 to $5 million to advise the guy making $1 to $3, and then you're questioning how much to pay your hourly employees, and you're cutting people in your sales office, and you're cutting people in your hockey operations office because you don't want to pay an extra X number of dollars per hour. That pisses me off.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, I'm done. Thank you.
Caleb said more shields from being fired and more bullets to make changes.
I hope so. Brad's great. I'm so excited to see him in this role.
So can we set aside the president stuff and just talk about
Brad in Toronto?
I think he came from Calgary, which is another Canadian market. Yep. He went through hell last summer, the moves he had to make. I know Calgary didn't have a great year. I think there are a lot of factors for that, but I think he did the best he could in the situation he was put in Calgary with two massive pieces of that team wanting out. So I think Kyle Dubas, he was an up and coming. It's not the same, but Kyle Dubas young, like John Chaika, for example, young. So now to pivot back to someone with experience, who's experienced in a Canadian market, who has years and years and years of GM and assistant GM experience, I think it's a good hire for Toronto in that sense. And I think he has his head on his shoulders. I think he's not afraid to make risks. We saw that with last summer in Calgary. He has his work cut out for him. There's a lot of things he needs to get done. Austin Matthews is entering the last year of his deal. Obviously, the salary cap situation, there's a lot of, question marks. Did they have to trade one of the big guns? There's a lot on his plate. But I feel that he, honestly, of the people that we've heard interviewing, maybe the best candidate available for this job.
And I think the other thing, too, and one thing, we talked about what a good person he is, and I think he's a good evaluator of talent. The other thing that a general manager is responsible for is building relationships with other general managers. Because if you don't like general manager B, it's really hard to make a trade with that general manager. And I think
you might offer sheet a player we've seen that to screw
another GM. Yeah. So I think one of the other advantages Toronto and Kyle Dubas was learning, and he was learning those relationships and building those relationships on the fly. Brad has those established for years. And I think that is going to be another benefit to what they're able to do in Toronto, because he can pick up the phone. He knows everybody, and everybody likes him. He's not like, I don't want to deal with this asshole. No matter how bad I need to make this trade, I don't want to deal with him.
Yeah.
And if you don't think that happens, you're just wrong.
Yeah.
Like, there are general managers that other general managers won't deal with. I don't want to deal with him. I'm done dealing with that guy. And it's hard to get them to move on a trade. And I don't think Brad's going to have those hurdles. So I think that's going to bode well for Toronto. I think he's well liked in the Toronto media as well. And he'll get a mulligan or two in Toronto, but Toronto needs to win. So the pressure right now becomes he's got to do some stuff quickly this summer. And, we talked about the core four in Toronto. Something's going to have to happen. I think the first mode of business is he's going to have to lock up Austin Matthews.
Yeah.
And that's first.
Yeah.
And then I still believe Toronto needs to move at least a piece of the core four, whether that's Marner or Nylander. And then he's going to have to start looking through the UFA. So is the goaltending good enough there in Toronto? What are we going to have to do with defense? They have financial constraints based on cap that he didn't have to deal with in the past. And I said before, people want to go to Toronto. So if you want to get UFAs there, the list is going to be really long.
Yeah.
So he's got a full plate right now.
Yeah.
And he will not be able to participate in the draft.
Yes, he will not be at the draft table.
Right.
So but I feel like drafting is less of...
It's not a concern in Toronto right now.
Yeah, it is for their scouts, but that's about it.
Right.
But so now we can shift to Kyle Dubas. Again, I felt like his press conference this morning felt very GM vibes. Their GM role is still open. They got asked about what their timeline is to hire a GM. Obviously, they're still in that process. Should be interesting, especially, and I don't just sound, ageist by saying this, but Kyle Dubas is young. So you have to imagine any GM is going to step in and be older than Kyle Dubas. I wonder how that would feel then to report to Kyle. I don't know. It's just that's just interesting to me. But do you have any thoughts on, I think from the second Kyle Dubas was done in Toronto, we heard his name associated with Pittsburgh. So it's not that big of a shock. I think the bigger shock to me is that he's not going to be GM, that he's going to be president.
But here's the difference. And this kind of goes back to I won't beat the drum again on the president role, but here's what I think. So there's a lot of rumors out there, and I'm just Googling it right now. The NHL Trade Talk on MSN, the Hockey News, right? Who may follow him there as the GM is Jason Spezza.
Ooh.
And you talk about there's a relationship that they've already built together. Yeah. And Jason Spezza falls into the category of a guy that doesn't have the experience quite there to become a full GM yet. And so to me, this is another one of those situations where it's going to be Dubas doing the job of a general manager that's doing the day-to-day, the trades, the hockey stuff, the big hockey stuff. And he'll have the title of president. And Jason Spezza will have the title of general manager, but really be doing the assistant general manager job and making some phone calls and learning the role. And now you're paying, instead of paying a combined $3.5 million, now you're going to pay $8 million. So the owner of the Pittsburgh Penguins, just be mindful of that. You've hired the right two guys, just maybe different titles. So I wonder, I do believe Spezza's name will come up, but I still think Kyle Dubas is going to be, in all actuality, the general manager of the Pittsburgh Penguins, even though his title will be president of hockey operations. He is going to be making the ultimate hockey decisions, and he's the general manager of the Pittsburgh Penguins for right now. That's the way I see it.
Okay. Well, there you have it. And we'll, follow along with that GM hire. And other GM news, we also saw Ron Francis extended in Seattle. He's done a really great job. We've seen, from year 1 to year 2, what that team has accomplished. So excited to see what he can continue to do in Seattle as well. So that's our GM / president of hockey operations portion of the program. We'll talk about coaches next. Before we do, Petey, you missed the Keep 100 golf tournament last
I wanted
week.
to go because I wanted the shirt.
The shirt?
I know.
Oh my God. First of all, the picture's fire. In person, even more fire. Seeing everybody wearing them on the course. I got one. Because,
do you have one?
Yeah. They ran out of pretty much all of them, but I snagged a size small. These shirts were fire, and they were by Pins and Aces. Caleb was there. Caleb I saw at the tournament.
I saw Caleb's pictures. You know what Caleb didn't do before he went to the golf tournament?
Shave his beard?
Shower.
Oh.
Like, what was that hair, Caleb? Like, buddy,
your beef with him.
You get out of bed. As the golf tournament started at 10:05, Caleb got out of bed at 9:55 and said, I think it'll be this hat today. Like, buddy.
Good Lord.
Try a brush.
Don't do Caleb like that.
Caleb, try a brush.
Oh, my God. Well, everyone looked amazing, rocking their Pins and Aces out on the golf course. And they have a lot of cool stuff besides just merchandise, including a beer sleeve. It's an innovative product that allows you to store 7 beers inside your golf bag and keeps drinks cold the entire round. So
who doesn't want that?
Put your 4 Peaks in the Pins and Aces beer sleeve. Amazing. They also have hats. They have streetwear as well. Check them out. Amazing stuff. Pinsandaces.com. Use the code PHNX to receive 15% off your first order and get free shipping. That's pinsandaces.com. So on Tuesday, we got an Illegal Pete's delivery to the office.
Yes.
It arrived 20 minutes after I left because I had to go to an appointment.
I did the show from home. Missed it again.
I was so dumb. It ruined my whole day on Tuesday. I come in the office yesterday. There's leftovers. I was so happy because, oh my God.
Was there queso?
There was literally a
bucket of queso.
Like a little soup.
Could you eat the
container.
queso as a soup?
I don't think it'd be very good.
Okay.
It does need a chip. And the chips at Illegal Pete's, also underrated. Very good. So I had some tacos yesterday with barbacoa and queso and fajita vegetables and salsa. Amazing. So shout out Illegal Pete's. And also check out their margaritas.
Their margs.
Underrated. Amazing.
That's what my son says is the specialty of the margs.
They're so good. So you can kick off your week with Margarita Monday at Illegal Pete's. How about that?
Margarita Mondays.
Exclusive to Arizona location, $3 margs all day, every Monday. How about that?
Sorry, Caleb. I'm in for the Legal Pete's. I'm sorry, Caleb.
Oh, man. Nothing brights up that Monday mood more than soaking up the sun with a few margaritas. And don't forget about Taco Tuesdays. $2 tacos all day,
Mondays,
every
Taco Tuesdays?
Tuesday. Enjoy your favorite chicken, pork, and veggie tacos for just $2. So swing by, start your week off right at Illegal Pete's.
Wow. Can't go wrong.
You really can't go wrong. That's good stuff. All right, let's shift to coaching. Lots of coaching news. We've gotten some coaching hires. Andrew Brunette, who was the Florida coach, and then I think did he go to an assistant in New Jersey? Yeah. That's what he did. He will be behind the bench in Nashville, which I feel like, again, we talk about the structure. You have now Barry Trotz in the GM role, but a respected and tenured coach with maybe a newer coach like Andrew Brunette. I'm kind of excited about that hire. I mean, Andrew Brunette led the Florida Panthers to a President Trophy winning season. What do you think about this hire?
I like it, I think. Oh God, I'm so tired.
Today.
I'm so tired to do this because here we go again. So Andrew Brunette, President's Trophy winner, Florida. So what should we do with that guy? Let's fire him. The best record the franchise has ever had. Why don't we fire him? So he becomes an assistant. And apparently in that year where he got fired to be an assistant, he remembered how to coach again because now he's a head coach in the National Hockey League again. I think there are literally 10 guys that know how to coach hockey because let's just keep fucking hiring them. Like John Hines gets fired again, and he's rumored to be in the new job today, the New York Rangers. What the? There's more people than this.
Okay, so let's move on. Spencer Carberry, Washington Capitals, first-time NHL head coach. He was the assistant in Toronto for the last 2
American
seasons.
League coach.
He coached AHL Hershey for 3 years before that, and I think he is now the youngest NHL coach at 41.
Give him a chance.
I think Keefe was the youngest at 42. He is now the youngest head coach, 41. Love it.
Give him a chance. And you know what, Brunette? I think here's the deal. I said there's a couple things about head coaches in National Hockey that you need. One, and first and foremost right now with today's players, that everybody's won their trophy and everybody wants to be loved and hugged, you got to be able to build relationships. That's number one. You have to be able to communicate with your players. Have to. If you can't, that player's calling their agent and they're going to get you fired. Period. Players have more pull today than they've ever had in the history of the league. If you don't make your star players happy, you're out. So that's one. Two, I think you need to be able to build that chemistry. And that's what Andre Tourigny has done, that you build the culture. And when we say culture, it's the chemistry of, hey, I like to come to the rink. I'm happy. I want to play hockey today. Yeah. You can't be an asshole. You can't be, I'm yelling at you. You need to skate harder. That Mike Keenan stuff's gone. Done. Not in the game anymore. Yeah. Can't be that way. So that's two. Three, and least important, is you need to know your X's and O's. That's least important. Because I think players know how to play the game now, and they play it more instinctually because the game is so fast. When it matters is in the playoffs. When you play a same team 6 times, you need to try to outcoach somebody else. You need to make adjustments. 1 through 82, the X's and O's are less important than the other 2 factors, but I think they are important to win a Stanley Cup. Having said that, Carberry getting an opportunity to coach after coaching in the American League and doing it the right way, building your ladder and climbing and making it in, is much more appealing to me than this guy got fired here, fired here, fired here. But guess what? He's going to work for our organization. He'll work here. But come on. Like uncle on that. Why do you, like Dave Hackstall coaches in college. Jim Montgomery coached in college. They seem to be doing okay. Let's go to junior coaches, college coaches, American League coaches. Give some of these people a chance, because guess what? That's where the new ideas come from. Those are the guys that are boots on the ground with the new style players are, instead of recycling. Mike Babcock's name's coming up again. Like, what
Hell no.
Come on. Yeah. Like, moving on, please. So I think that it's time to give more people opportunities to get inside that coaching carousel instead of just looking at the same people who haven't had success somewhere else. But you look at the Stanley Cup Finals right now, what do they have in common? The Stanley Cup Finals, 2 head coaches coached somewhere else last year. Yeah. Again, they got fired and then they learned how to coach again enough to get a team to the finals. It's just mind-boggling to me. So Paul Maurice and Bruc Cassidy have now learned how to coach again after being fired a year ago.
Bear was hired out of juniors, correct?
Yep.
Correct.
Love it. And look how much the players love playing for him. And the new ideas that he's brought and the philosophy. And we talk about the changing, the evolution of coaches. And actually, Martin St. Louis was the guest on Spit and Chicklets this week, and I was listening to that on the drive-in. Just a lot of hockey stuff I've been consuming today. And he was talking about, they were asking him about how coaching has evolved and how when he was a player versus now. And he was talking about, he was like, you can't, like, you have to conserve like your bullets. You can't just fire bullets every time. You can be upset, but you have to come up with different ways to communicate with your players. So it's just really interesting hearing him. And he's another first-time NHL head coach. Obviously, he went right from coaching his kids to the NHL. There wasn't even much of an in-between there, but he, has obviously NHL
Rob Brindamore,
experience.
Who's had great success. It's just that young, let's try.
It's cool. I think it's cool. And it's really interesting and cool to hear about that. And another thing he said on the show was coaching NHL players and coaching, 15-year-olds is not that much different. It's just, getting them to buy in and believe. So
one of my welcome to the NHL moments, it was my first year. It was 97, 98. I was, my office is right behind the players bench at the old America West Arena. And Tverdovsky, Oleg Tverdovsky was a defenseman for the Arizona Coyotes. Well, Phoenix Coyotes at the time. Young, outstanding offensive player from Russia. And he's an NHL player. Oleg Tverdovsky. And one of the assistant coaches grabbed him and pulled him into my office so he didn't do this on the bench. And he was talking to him about the most basic plays in hockey. You could have been talking to a high school hockey player, and it was the same conversation. And that was the realization for me that was like, oh my goodness, it's just hockey.
Yeah. It's
just they're better at it, and they're faster and more skilled, but it's still just hockey. Yeah. And that's where there's the light bulb moment for me that you're right. The coaching, you're just coaching the exact same things to just really, really, really high skilled players. And so that was where I realized you're right. Coaching kids and coaching NHL players is just the way you communicate to those players and their ability to do those things faster and better.
Yep. So there's 4 vacant head coaching spots remaining: Anaheim, Calgary, Columbus, Rangers. Which of those 4, if you were told you are the head coach of one of these 4 teams, which are you choosing and why?
I'm going to New York.
Okay.
And the one thing that coaches want is you want to have success right away because it helps prolong your career in that city. I think the New York Rangers right now are built the best to win. Second would be Calgary. I think Calgary had a disappointing year. I think their goaltender was poor this year. I think Markstrom did not have the season they were expecting. Huberdeau underperformed. Kadri underperformed. I think their ability to raise the bar quicker in Calgary will be there, but I think the Rangers are built to win right now. Mm-hmm. I think they're 1 or 2 pieces of maneuvering by Chris Drury to make that team ready to make another run for the Cup. I like the Rangers the best. I think if you can win in New York, it's like winning in Toronto. So I think that would be the premier job. The ones for me that are much more difficult, Anaheim. Anaheim's tough. And there's a couple reasons. I think they're young. I don't think they're ready to win yet. And you've got the Trevor Zegras problem. And we've talked about Zegras and how he fits in right now. Until he gets some veteran leadership above him and helping him guide his way through becoming a pro, I think he is going to be difficult for coaches and managers in the short term and long term.
You do have Adam Fantilli coming down the pipe.
There's some great players there. And I think the future is going to be okay there. You just need to get some veterans to help guide that core group. So for me, the Rangers' job is the premier job available. And I just think it became Chris Drury and Gerard Gallant. Gerard Gallant went there and did well.
It's crazy how Gerard Gallant, like everywhere he goes, he does a really good job. And
then gets fired.
He gets fired.
But here's one thing I know about Gerard. Gerard sticks to his guns. Gerard Gallant's a guy that's confident enough to go to Chris Drury's office. I don't know this happened, by the way. I know him enough to go, I don't agree with you. And a lot of head coaches, you need to go, okay, whatever you want to do, GM, I'll coach whatever players you give me. And Gerard's like, no, I've been around. Like, I don't like the direction we're going, and unless we can find some common ground, I think it's best I move on. So I'm not sure what the personality would be there. And if it's John Hein, come on, like really? I'm not sure he's the personality can manage that group of that group right now. Has some very heavy hitters in that New York Ranger locker room. I don't see a guy. I think that team needs an experienced voice. We saw it with David Quinney, who's again getting better and getting his experience now out in San Jose, but I think they needed an experienced guy there. And we just got done talking about the recycling of coaches. The New York Ranger one's got to be a very, very, very good fit.
Yeah.
Like, because you're talking about some Zibanejad and Kreider and potentially Kane, and you've got some heavy hitters in that room. Yeah. You better get the right hire.
Yeah. So let us know in the chat which of those 4 you would take. I like what Nicholas said is kind of my line of thinking. If I want to win now in New York, if I'm looking to build something up for a long time.
Plus, you got to think about weather. Do you want to commute to New York City? Do you want to do every night? You got to go to MSG, or you just cruise around to Anaheim, right across from the ballpark.
Go to Disneyland on the weekends.
Disneyland, buddy. There's something to be said for that because your coaches are looking at Columbus. Isn't a bad job either.
Columbus,
because Grujo, they're gonna have a good draft pick.
Had a worse year last year than they should have.
Agreed. I think that's another program. The city is great. It's a college football town. It's a great sports town. I think that team is going to be better, and Johnny Hockey is going to be better.
I just want to say, if you live in New York, you don't have to live on the other side of the city.
You're probably living downtown.
Buddy, I ain't living in. I don't like the city. I'm not living in the city. But then I got to drive in. That's why I don't. That's why I live here.
So on a city level, just city. Which city are you choosing for your lifestyle?
Columbus.
Yeah. I love Columbus, actually. Underrated city.
Columbus, Anaheim, New York City, or what was the 4th one?
Ottawa was one of them, right?
No, Columbus,
Calgary.
Anaheim, Calgary.
Cold.
It's too cold.
It's Anaheim.
It's Anaheim.
Yeah.
I'm going to Anaheim.
Or Columbus.
Go to
Columbus.
Disneyland and Angels games.
Wow.
Yeah, same.
There you go.
Anaheim, New York, Columbus.
I'm going to Columbus, a little Midwestern chill.
Love it. All right. Well, speaking of coaches, on Monday's show, we talked about Bruc Cassidy's comments, basically ricochet shots at the Coyotes saying, we couldn't beat the Coyotes in January with this many turnovers, whatever it was. We thought it was hilarious. Like, no harm.
No harm.
Really
no
no harm. And then this tweet comes out this week. Golden Knights coach Bruc Cassidy said today he apologized to the Coyotes for including them in his comments after Game 5 of the Western Conference Final. Quote, "It was disrespectful," he said. "It was a dumb thing to say about puck management to bring another team in." This whole thing is so freaking funny to me.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I just think it's so fun to
I feel bad for the guy.
I know. It's not his fault. I think it's just, for me, it's so fun for the Coyotes to be part of like a hockey discussion rather than an arena discussion.
Yes.
That I'm like, whatever, like, let's talk about it. It's so funny that he somehow like got pressured into reaching out and apologizing to the Coyotes.
So I don't know if you saw some of the replies to the tweet. He actually, according to the guy who sent that tweet out, Cassidy like went out of his way to make sure that his apology, like to make sure, like he wanted to be the one to apologize. Like he was the one that kind of started.
Probably
all
one of
this.
those things that you say it and then you get home later and you're like laying in bed.
There's
and you're
absolutely
thinking,
no reason for it.
Everyone in the comments was like, "This is a non-story," and he was like, the reporter was like, "Well,
He wanted
to
it
tell
out
you,
there.
Bruce Cassidy wanted this out here."
Okay.
And I understand that. And he,
I mean,
I'm
I
sure the
respect it.
second it
I
came out of his
respect it.
mouth. And I understand. We said it yesterday. I understand his meaning.
Yeah.
Like we're trying to get to the Stanley Cup final. We cannot play like that, and you can't play like that in the middle of the season against a lower tier team. I get what he was saying, and you know what? He's not wrong. He's not wrong. It's just unfortunate that it had to be the Coyotes, and we think it's a funny thing.
We think it's hilarious.
Yes.
And
So
also,
we're all good, Bruce.
I mean, I guess Bruce,
Appreciate. And he's listening for sure, right?
If anything, I have more respect that he said it and that B, he went out of his way.
And he
to
recognized that. Yeah, he probably.
He
shouldn't
wasn't
have said
just. He could have just been an asshole about it. And said,
Kudos.
Yeah.
Kudos to Bruce Cassidy.
So.
And I'm sure he's listening on his way to practice today. And the morning they fly tomorrow. What day is it today?
It
Thursday?
is
Yeah, they'll
Thursday.
fly tomorrow. I think you know what?
Tomorrow's
Unless they go
media
early.
day.
Yeah, so they fly today.
Yeah.
Oh, that's why my buddy didn't answer. Okay, that makes sense.
For the
Who's
record,
flying? Vegas isn't going anywhere. It's a home
Vegas
game.
is home.
Yeah.
Oh, never mind.
So your buddy's just not answering you.
Yeah,
'cause
which
he's ignoring
happens.
it. He's ignoring
He
it.
is. Yeah.
Oh man.
Well, can you imagine the Stanley Cup parade down Las Vegas Boulevard?
it would be their second professional parade because the Aces just won and they had a parade down the boulevard.
Before the Formula One race.
Oh, the Formula One race. Okay, well, lucky for us, we
Oh.
live driving distance from Las Vegas. It's
Yes.
just about a 4.5 hour drive. Really not that bad at all. So if you want to make a trip to Vegas anytime, you can do so and stop at Circle K on the way because there are
They're there.
plenty
They're
of
there.
Circle Ks along the way.
They're there.
Stop
I
in.
do, by the way. I stopped at two Circle Ks.
I
It's
always
true
go
story.
to Circle K's.
Yep.
Yeah, they have amazing snacks. First of all,
Yep.
And right now it's so hot. Go inside, get a Polar Pop.
Wiki up.
And right now, if you text PHNX to 31310, you can join the SMS subscriber club. Get a buy one get one free buy one get one free offer on 32-ounce Polar Pops. Head to circlek.com/store-locator to find Circle K's near you.
Before you continue on, do you know our security guard downstairs, DJ?
Yes,
The young lady that's
Yes.
So I walked by her. This literally just happened today. I was walking in and she had her headphones in. I go, "What are you doing?" She goes, "I'm playing a game." She goes, "Come see it." It's a Circle K game.
No way.
And it's kind of like Tetris, but it's a Circle K game. And you line up different things and you win stuff. She won a Polar Pop.
What?
Yep. She got 15 cents off of gas.
What?
And she won a Polar Pop. I don't know exactly how to play the game or where she got it.
Go investigate.
Go
on your way
investigate.
down.
Yeah. So she's all about, and she said she did it because she listened to us. So
Wow.
not us, the hockey show, but us, PHNX.
Wow.
But,
Yeah,
so thanks, DJ.
Wow.
So I'll find out more about the Circle K
Yeah,
game.
report back tomorrow.
I will.
Report back tomorrow.
Cool.
Oh man. Well, Petey, you've been on one today. I think when you get home,
Yes.
maybe take an OG's.
Yeah.
Mellow out a little bit.
Indica and a couch.
Yeah, OGs, they have something for everyone. They have the Aquaberry Sleep Edition. They have strawberries and cream, which is the CBD THC 1-to-1 ratio. They have mixed bags of the fruits and creams: watermelon, red apple, peach, blackberries and cream, orange creamsicle, peaches and cream. Delicious flavors, something for everyone. Like I said, microdose, anything. So check out OGs. You can find them online at ogsbrands.com and on Instagram at ogsbrands. You can also find their products at your local dispensary, but you got to be 21 or older to purchase. All right, last thing, I guess non-NHL related exactly, but it's actually some exciting news. Logan Cooley has been named the 2023 Jim Johannson College Player of the Year award, which I feel like is a very prestigious title to be the college player of the year, especially when he was a Hobie Baker finalist and didn't win. Logan Cooley led the NCAA with 38 assists. He had 22 goals, 60 points. 60 points, was second in points in the league. And other people who have won this award, if you know their names, Cole Caulfield, Jack Eichel, Johnny Gaudreau. So some good company there for Logan Cooley to win this award.
Yeah, I think that we talked about him as a freshman might not get recognized as in the Hobie conversation, and then it goes to Fantilli. Logan Cooley had a great year. He's a great hockey player, and I think we talk about the bright side of what's coming here in Arizona, and I think Logan Cooley's got to be a part of that conversation. The concern is, and keeps coming back to,
the arena,
and will continue to be the arena. It's the elephant in the room consistently. Anytime I know we want to talk hockey here in Arizona, and I know we want to talk about Logan Cooley, Dylan Gunther, all of those things, but until the arena deal gets some kind of direction, we're not stating the obvious. So hopefully we can get past it so we can talk about what an exciting player Logan Cooley is going to be, and he's going to do it again in college. This University of Minnesota Golden Gopher team is going to be a hell of a hockey team.
So you weren't here. You left, and we found out that he was going back. So obviously the arena did factor into his decision, which is something he did tell Craig. But that aside, what is the upside to him going back to college? Since you and I haven't talked about this. And then what is the downside of him?
So there's two things. I like him going back to college right now.
Yeah.
I do. And I think we talk about a university like the University of Minnesota, the facilities that he's going to have to train in, his access to practice. College players practice 4 days a week. They get a lot more practice time on ice, teaching, learning, video work. They just have more resources. When you play in junior in Canada, you're playing more games. It's more styled to an NHL style play. So you're learning to practice less and play more. So you get your experience from games. In college, you get your experience through practice and learning. I think the other thing that college does, and I think that applies to the people in this room, is you learn to be an adult. In college, you learn to pay an electric bill. You learn to take care of yourself, get things done on time. So I think on a maturity level, I think it's good for him. Yeah. Hockey level, I think it's good for him. And lastly, if you were to bring him here next year, where does he play? Like, do you put him on the Coyotes right now on a team that's still finding their way and is still not going to be competing for a playoff spot? Or does he go to Tucson, and is that where he learns? Or can he be the big fish in a heck of a good hockey team and make a run for a national title again? I really like him staying in college another year. And I think physically he'll mature more. I think he'll get bigger, stronger. I think this is the best for his development.
Yeah, and Chris Peters, when he came on our show, the day we learned about the decision, said it used to be one and done. Now it's two and through. That's kind of the trend we're seeing more.
Clever. I like it.
Yeah, with college. So, yeah, listen, we talk about over-baking all the time. Obviously, there's things that he's going to need to work on once he gets to the NHL or AHL level. That's going to be a bit of a learning curve for him. But he's going to continue to, he'll probably be at development camp again this summer. They're going to give him, he's going to walk away from that with a plan in place. I think when we had Nathaniel Brooks on last year, they talked, or even it might have been Lee Stepniak, the relationship that the Coyotes people have with the coaches of their prospects. So Logan Cooley, might be back in college, but he's not out on an island there. There's things that the Coyotes, have for him to try and develop and do better. And, we've talked about some of those, I guess, maybe gaps in his game or things he can improve upon. He can do that in college. Yeah. And then maybe he'll still have a learning curve when he steps into the NHL, but maybe it'll be a little less because he's been able to focus. So we'll see. I'm really looking forward to seeing him in the Kachina jersey, and especially with all these accolades, it gives me more and more confidence that this was the best pick for the Coyotes in the draft last year.
And we'll see. With another thing, the draft's coming up here again.
Yep.
And if you would have said to us at this time a year ago, the premier piece was still Shane Wright. This close to the draft, this close, 2 days before the draft.
The Coyotes passed on Shane Wright.
The Coyotes passed on the presumptive number one pick that we had talked about for the entire season, and now you redraft, and it's probably Logan Cooley.
Yeah.
So I know it's not Connor Bedard. I understand that's clear and above, but it's going to be interesting at 6. When we talk about a player that Logan Cooley has picked 3rd, becomes the guy that redrafting would be number 1. It's curious to see where the number 6 pick falls.
So maybe that is the number 1 pick that the Coyotes when we look back in
and
hindsight.
say,
Oh,
who was the guy? He was the
number
guy.
one Yeah.
And then the guy that they get this year at 6-12 helped fill in that gap. Like you look at the Dallas Stars with Robertson and
and
Wyatt
I keep
Johnston.
saying Matthew Tkachuk was a 6th pick.
Yeah. So that
You can find
we're okay. I'm excited. The draft, it's coming. Yeehaw.
Soon. Yeehaw, boy, howdy. Yeah.
I'm
come
gonna need
to
some
Nashville
rest.
with us. By
How am I
the
gonna go
way.
on Broadway with a bunch of 20-year-olds? Like you guys, like I don't know if I can. Like DP and I are gonna have to go. Like he's gonna have to be like he'll be my chaperone.
Roaring Fork, who I saw in the comment earlier, by the way, like on a boat right now listening to us, I think in like North Dakota or something.
Yeah,
said he would be the DD for people.
Okay.
So
there you go.
we got to ride.
Copy that. I'm gonna take you up on that.
So we're gonna preview the Stanley Cup final tomorrow. So I don't want to talk about it today. But get your bets in on BetMGM.
Okay.
NBA final kicks off tonight. So we're in the this is the pristine time.
Who's that?
For
Is it the
sports
Celtics
right
and
now.
the Suns? Oh,
No.
too soon?
Too soon. Nuggets,
Sorry.
Heat, you can bet on it on BetMGM. And now we get every other night, we get NBA, NHL. I literally double checked. I was like, the NHL would somehow be on the same night. No, they actually thought ahead and did it separate. So
Copy that. Cool.
there's something to bet on every day.
That's awesome.
Also baseball. So if you want to make yourself some money, head on over to BetMGM. If you haven't signed up yet, use the bonus code PHNX. Few different offers depending on where you live, but for our Arizona audience, you'll get up to $100 in bonus bets on your first wager with BetMGM. Again, make sure you use the code PHNX. Check out the show notes for full details, and now you can listen to Shane talk about the disclaimer.
Disclaimer, 21 plus to wager. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. U.S. promotional offers not available in Washington, D.C., Mississippi, Nevada, New York, and Ontario. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Colorado, D.C., Illinois, Indiana, Louisiana, Maryland, Mississippi, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia, Wyoming. Call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369, New York. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP, Arizona. 1-800-522-4700, Kansas, Nevada. 1-800-327-5050, Massachusetts. 1-800-BETS-OFF, Iowa. 1-800-270-7117 for confidential help, Michigan.
Thank you, Shane. And I'm wearing my Four Peak shirt today.
Ironically, true story, I had mine in my hand. I didn't.
Oh my
wear it.
God. So I put this on this morning. I was like, Petey's going to wear it.
I almost
And
did.
it's
But then I
okay.
thought of Friday.
It's okay if we wear our black PHNX shirts matching.
That's
It's
a little
black,
aggressive.
a little more subtle. This would have been a lot.
And I almost did. So mine is, I was planning on tomorrow because tomorrow's Friday.
Love it. Well, glad I wore mine today. But I'm excited to drink Four Peaks tomorrow. Actually, we're going to be at BetMGM tomorrow.
Yeah.
All day. We will be drinking WOW at 11 a.m.
I promise
I
I have
can't
a
wait.
blast. How much fun did I have at that show? That's where you want to see Positive Petey.
Oh my God. You
That
were
is
so
where you find
positive last time.
Yeah. So maybe I loved the vibe. I'm going
So-
to get a WOW and at 11 a.m.
Yeah.
Positive Petey tomorrow.
Come to BetMGM tomorrow. And if you can't make it during the day, come at night because we are doing knockout night cornhole that I believe it starts at 7. So that will be at BetMGM as well. Join us out there. And they have a full bar at the sportsbook so you can get Four Peaks. They have it on tap. Four Peaks seems to be on tap everywhere you go in Arizona. They also sell it anywhere you buy a beer, and you can stop by the A Street Pub. So you can check out at Four Peaks Brew or at Four Peaks Pub to keep up with the latest at Arizona's hometown brewery. Got to be 21 or older to enjoy, and please drink responsibly. Anything else?
No, I think I'm ready to talk playoff hockey tomorrow again.
Me too.
Let's get back into
Looking
hockey.
forward to it.
We had a little break and let's get back at it.
Yeah, and next week we'll talk more about the draft. Craig Button will be joining us to
We
talk.
had other guests
prospects.
too. I forgot, but I know you told
Yeah,
me.
we have some others coming up. Craig did reveal them all in his mailbag,
He
so
did,
if you
but
want
I
to go
don't
read
remember.
that.
You told
can
me
find out.
yesterday and I don't remember.
Yeah, I know. It's okay. You don't pay attention to me.
I'll know when they get here though.
All right.
Right?
You'll just sit down in the chair. Who's
Yeah.
calling? The phone's ringing.
Perfect.
Who's calling?
Works for me.
Oh boy. All
Lauren
right.
Kuby?
Yeah, no.
No.
Sorry. Everybody in the chat, thanks so much for being here. Please hit the like button. There are more of you watching than likes we have right now. So leave us a like. And if you're watching on YouTube, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you never miss when we go live. If you're listening on audio, leave us a review and follow as well. And you can follow us on Twitter at SPetersHockey, at Leah Merrill, Craig Alton Perry, at Craig S. Morgan. You can follow Sean at Sean_DePause. Follow the show at PHNX_Coyotes. We're live Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. every day, no matter what, even in July, even in August.
Yes.
We're here. So become a diehard, join our Discord. We're talking hockey all the time. And we'll be back tomorrow. So everybody, thanks so much for watching. Have a great rest of your Thursday, and we'll see you on Friday.